Ford EV division lost about $4 billion in 2023, over $4 billion in 2024, $5.5 billion in 2025, and is projected to lose almost $5 billion in 2026. Legacy automakers in general are still mainly on track to lose billions on electric cars for the foreseeable future. The numbers have become so absurd that at one time, just dividing the losses by the number of EVs sold, Ford lost an eye-watering $130,000 for every single electric vehicle it made and sold. It would have been cheaper for them just to go out and buy Tesla Model Ys and give them away free. Well, everyone from Wall Street to Main Street is asking the same question. How can they possibly survive? Now, most people think the answer to this has to be about selling more cars, but that is far easier said than done. The market for petrol cars, especially the big petrol-guzzling V8 giants, is shrinking by the day, even in the US, with 2026 sales down already by 19% and still falling. Profits per car might be up by focusing on larger, better spec cars with much higher prices, but the sales trend favours down. Petrol sales are on a perpetual downward spiral with no relief in sight. And selling more EVs just means even greater losses. Ford has been hovering around 100,000 EVs a year for several years, but cannot seem to break out of it, despite announcing that this year, 2026, they're going to up that to 300,000 a year. They won't. Well, recent collaborations have proved that just buying in badged EVs from other more successful manufacturers is not the answer. But what if the solution, the real master plan to save these industrial giants, has nothing to do with cars at all? What if the very factories that were supposed to be their EV saviours, the ones currently bleeding them dry, are at the centre of a secret strategy to power the future of artificial intelligence? So this Dave Takes It On. I'm Dave. I'm looking into survival or demise of the legacy car giants. And it's not just Ford we're talking about here. The EV transition was supposed to be the moment legacy automakers proved they could still innovate. They poured tens of billions into developing new platforms, retooling factories, building massive new battery plants. It was an all-in bet on an all-electric future. And right now, they're losing that bet badly. They had this utter belief, knowledge, that they were the experts with over 100 years' experience in making cars from the invention of the very first production line right through to today. How hard could it be for them to switch to EVs? If, and only if, they ever took off. Well, took off they did, and they all found out. Well, it takes just a few weeks to train someone how to hang a door on the production line. That same guy or gal just wasn't even capable of writing a computer program for an integrated EV operating system. It didn't work. The core of the problem remains, some 10 years later, they can't make money selling EVs. And now the market is caught in a brutal price war, driven by, first of all, Tesla's aggressive cuts, and then the flood of hyper-competitive, affordable models and really good models from Chinese automakers like BYD and NIO. For companies like Ford with their massive overheads and legacy structures, competing on price was at once impossible. Now it's become catastrophic. But this isn't just a Ford problem, it's an existential crisis for all of the legacy car industry. The anticipated EV gold rush has turned into a painful multi-billion-dollar hangover. Now, faced with those staggering losses, a sense of panic is setting in across the industry. The initial bravado of going all in on EVs is being replaced by a frantic scramble back towards profitability. For most, that means retreating to the familiar comfort of the internal combustion engine, even if it is a plug-in hybrid. Take General Motors. GM has been hitting the brakes on its aggressive EV push. It delayed production of next-generation electric trucks at its Orion assembly plant in Michigan, scaling back its ambitious targets as it confronts the harsh reality of slowing demand and high building costs. Yeah, it did outsell Ford by about 2-1, but still pathetic progress and still making huge losses. It's a strategic pause that speaks volumes about their confidence, or lack thereof, in the short-term EV market. And the irony in all of this is that while pure EVs are struggling, customers are flocking to hybrids. Ford's own hybrid sales saw a massive 36% jump in early 2024. Their profitable Ford Blue and Ford Pro divisions, which sell petrol and hybrid vehicles are the only things keeping the company afloat, while the Model E division just burns the cash. So it's not an electric problem, but it's an all-electric problem, at least in the short term. But around the world, companies and countries are massively scaling back anything that burns fossil fuels, and America is fully aware that present anti-EV government policies might well make a 180-degree U-turn with the next president. And that's not that long away. So the industry appears to be at a crossroads with two clear paths: continue to lose billions on a pure EV strategy that the market isn't fully ready for, or retreat to the short-term safety of petrol and hybrids, including PHEVs, and then risk being left behind with a change of president. But here's the thing. There's a third path. This is a secret master plan that almost no one is talking about, and Ford is just the first of several to show its hand. The solution to saving legacy auto might not be found in their dealerships. It might be found instead in the massive anonymous data centers, AI data centers, that now form the backbone of our digital world, and more specifically in the colossal amount of energy they consume. Well, the artificial intelligence boom is creating an absolute tsunami of electricity demand. The International Energy Agency projects that by the end of 2026, electricity demand from data centers, AI and cryptocurrencies could double. Just training a single large AI model can consume as much electricity as thousands of homes use in a year. And this unprecedented demand is putting immense strain on the world's power grids, creating a desperate need for one thing: massive storage batteries. Not for the cars, but for the grid itself. These are called battery energy storage systems, BESS, B-E-S-S. They're giant container-sized batteries that utilities and data centers use to store up power when it's really cheap and plentiful, like when the sun's shining or when it's windy, and then release it back to run the AI center during peak demand. The market for these systems is exploding, with analysts projecting it will grow into a market worth tens of billions of dollars annually. And this is the core of the Ford Master Plan. Just recently, Ford launched a wholly owned subsidiary called Ford Energy. Now, this new company has one mission: to build and sell these massive battery systems to utilities and data centers. Ford announced it is investing $2 billion to convert one of its massive battery plants, the one in Glendale, Kentucky. That was a plant originally intended for electric vehicles, into a factory for grid-scale batteries. This isn't a small-scale project. Ford announced this new division and plans to deploy at least 20 gigawatt hours of annual storage capacity. That's huge, with the first delivery starting in late 2027. To put that into perspective, that's enough energy to power millions of homes or just a few data centers. And they've already signed their first major customer. They've got a 5-year agreement with energy giant EDF for up to 20 gigawatt hours of battery systems over the next 5 years. And it's why this is such a brilliant move, and why Ford is uniquely positioned to pull it off. First is the technology. The battery used for stationary storage are very different to those used in high-performance EVs. The key technology, currently lithium iron phosphate, LFP. Now, LFP batteries are significantly cheaper, safer, and have a much longer lifespan than the nickel-based batteries often used in cars. Their only real downside is they are heavier and less energy dense. And while this is a major problem and a challenge for use in an EV, it's a complete non-starter when the battery is a 20-foot container sitting on a concrete slab. And it just so happens that Ford has a crucial partnership with CATL. This is the world's largest battery maker, giving them access to world-class LFP technology. Well, second is the manufacturing. Building giant battery packs is what Ford has been investing billions to learn how to do. They already have the factories, the supply chains, and over a century of general manufacturing expertise. And they have a great teacher in CATL, the world's largest battery manufacturer. The decision to take full ownership and repurpose the Kentucky plant was a key step, giving them the freedom to make this pivot. They are transforming a financial liability on the underutilized EV battery plant into a strategic asset aimed at a new, highly profitable and growing market. This is the master plan in its purest form. It's an upcycling of their entire EV investment. Instead of fighting a losing battle in the consumer EV market, Ford is leveraging its core strength, that's manufacturing at a worldwide scale, to become a key supplier to the single biggest technological revolution since the internet: artificial intelligence. So what's all this mean? Well, competitors like GM and Stellantis are cautiously taking their first steps into BESS, looking in the rearview mirror, ready to retreat back to the safety of what they know at a moment's notice. Ford is executing a breathtaking pivot. They are making a strategic bet that for a legacy manufacturer, the most profitable path in the electric future isn't necessarily building the car, but actually building the infrastructure that powers everything else. They are shifting from being just a car company, and a failing one at that, to becoming an energy company. It's a plan that leverages their industrial DNA. It sidesteps their weaknesses in software, taps into a market with almost limitless demand. They are turning their biggest problem, namely billions of dollars sunk into the battery plants for an EV market that they can't seem to crack, into their greatest advantage. And they know the market is there because none other than Tesla, the bitter rival, the arch enemy in the UK market, is already predicting that their megapacks will overtake their Tesla brand really soon, and at much higher profits than trying to compete with the Chinese. The world demand for BESS was already massive when AI data centers made their first appearance. They've just doubled it. Now, for those not having those factories already ordered or built and lying vacant, this is probably not an obvious solution, but others like GM do have those empty, underutilized factories. And it is a fact that they too are actively looking into what Ford Energy is doing and setting up their own energy division. But once again, for many, this might be too little, too late. It's a philosophy that regularly rears its ugly head. See, this could well be the blueprint for how legacy auto survives the 21st century, not by trying to out-Tesla or out-cut price the Chinese, but by becoming the quiet, indispensable backbone of the new energy economy. But there's that too little, too late scenario, and it's rearing its ugly head. Is it the start of a new boom they can cash in on, or is it already too late? Now here I'm talking about sodium-ion batteries. See, Ford LFP batteries are due to be ready for delivery late 2027, early 2028, but they need to check what the Chinese are doing today, 2026. They adopted the LFP trend, in fact, invented it years ahead of everyone else. Even today, many manufacturers, that includes Ford, are still using the more powerful but much more expensive NMC cells in all their EVs, even their budget models. LFP is a move they are hoping to make, but it offered much cheaper, safer batteries, and the power and energy density was a reasonable price to pay. Do even the budget EVs need a 0 to 60 time of 6 seconds and a range of 400 miles? Well, for far too many EV manufacturers, seems like they've done their normal thing that built up over the last century. They place huge long-term orders for components, in this case batteries, to get the very best, cheapest prices worldwide. While it does keep prices down, it does also tie them into that very old technology if something better and cheaper just suddenly arrives. Sodium stands to rapidly become the next generation of EV batteries, but only for the very basic budget models. They are much more suited to long-term battery storage. They have a remarkable resistance to temperature variations, shrugging off -40 at ease. But the key factor is the lifespan. NMC batteries are rated about 1,000 or 2,000 cycles, where a cycle is completely full, down to zero, and then back to full. Used in an EV, that gave them a range of about 500,000 miles lifespan. LFP now offers 4,000 to 8,000 cycles, meaning million-mile batteries and beyond. Sodium offers a double whammy. It's a cycle life of 15,000 to 20,000 cycles, and it costs a tiny fraction of using lithium. Sodium's everywhere, and it's absolutely abundant and amazingly cheap. Plus, that resistance to temperatures means you need less energy for heating and cooling of the battery packs. Better, cheaper, cheaper, and not yet in full-scale mass production. That is set to hit its peak in about 2020. See where this is going? At the same time, LFP cells are leaving Ford Kentucky's factory. New sodium-ion batteries deliberately aimed at BESS will be leaving Chinese factories. This is an incredibly fast and exciting market. Battery breakthroughs are arriving like buses all at once, and we haven't even mentioned solid state or solid metal anodes. By the time many of these AI data centers are built and ready for the battery packs, LFP could easily be out of date and priced out of the market. But let's hear from you. Is this Ford's secret master plan to dominate the next decade a brilliant pivot that's going to save legacy auto? Or is it a desperate sideshow, a distraction from the fact that they're still losing the EV war? Are they going to invest heavily and then lose a lot? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm Dave.